In this lecture, we're going to talk about some of the challenges that we see with Scrum Framework. The only reason why we're doing Scrum in the first place is so that companies can be agile and teams can implement the agile mindset. So here are some of the things that we see while a team is transitioning to Scrum. First thing that I have seen myself in one of the organizations that I've worked is turnover. I'm based out of St. Louis, Missouri. This is in Midwest of the United States. So a lot of the companies here in Midwest are just starting to talk about Agile, and they've started with Scrum. And whenever you introduce a new framework where there has very explicit roles that are very different than what people might have done in the past, there is a turnover in the team. That means some team members just leave the team. That can be a challenge for a company. Scrum is a revolutionary framework, meaning that it says take down all the roles that were existing and introduce new roles like Scrum Master. A lot of people don't know what the heck is a Scrum Master. There is really no role of a business analyst or a developer. Everybody's a team. So that's quite a change for people who have been working for 10, 15, 20 years in a company, and all of a sudden all these rules change and now they have to work within the iteration, and the definition are ready and definition are done changes, and they have to demo every 2 weeks. So these things can create some challenges within the team where some team members will say, heck, I'm not up for this, and they just leave the team. So because of these new roles are introduced, there are challenges. Some of the conflict shows up in the team. The Scrum actually recommends that the team is cross-functional. Most of the times, teams were a team of BAs and team of QAs and team of developers and team of UI developers. So now it's one team where all of these QA developers, UI UX person, business analyst, they are all coming together. So obviously there will be conflict because this is the first time a team has assembled and they're working in new ways, and they're pretty focused on making sure they're doing Scrum. And as you're doing this, the other challenge that we've seen is people kind of lose the sight of why they are doing Scrum, which is obviously for bringing agility in the team, building more value to the customers, and being able to respond to change, being able to be lean and adapt to new ways. And whenever you're focused on doing Scrum and getting used to different ways of working and working with different team members, people lose sight of it and it can be a little chaotic. The other thing that I see with implementing Scrum is there's a lot of confusion. A lot of people come with experiences. I was a developer who have had 15, 20 years of development experience in Waterfall, and suddenly there is new ways of doing things. Even as a business analyst, I'm transformed into a product owner role within Scrum. There will be a lot of things that I will need to unlearn, which is actually sometimes harder than learning a new skill set or a mindset. So that is something, it's there in a lot of companies where the team is made up of people who've had a variety of experiences in the waterfall world, where they actually have to do a lot of unlearning, and it's honestly hard. Another thing is the role of a development manager. In most of the organization, there are still development managers. The roles have shifted from command and control and kind of tracking somebody to kind of being a servant leadership, and I see a lot of development managers actually struggle with that. The role of a product management actually becomes very significant in Scrum because product owner is the sole person who's making all the decisions. He is the sole person that's saying that we need to build this, this, and this so that we can have this output. And it's quite a daunting task for one person to decide what the product vision is and what the product is going to do for the customer. Product owner and the team can get so focused on producing product features sprint after sprint after sprint, and they're just running, chasing some deadline that's made up, and lose the sight of what are we trying to bring to the customer. How do we create amazing experience for customer? That output, sometimes I see when teams are so focused on the framework and doing Scrum, they actually lose the sight of the end users and really adapting to the market and talking to the customer base, experimenting. Some of those things get neglected when the team is just focused on implementing Scrum. And the last thing that I want to share with you is, whenever you're doing Scrum in the beginning, you can do Scrum events like daily stand-up or sprint review or sprint retrospective, but people can get mechanical. So for example, the daily stand-up can become pretty mundane because people are just there talking about what they did yesterday. Because the way that team members are communicating these updates, what they did, their impediments, team members might not even see value in daily stand-up, and they might dread coming to the stand-up meetings. Similarly, a retrospective can happen every 2 weeks, but team can just kind of talk about superficial things. Oh, these are some things that went well. These are something what the challenges, but team is not really going into the depth of how can we actually improve as a team. That happens a lot in Scrum teams. Teams can spend a lot of time in estimation and doing story points and get so consumed if it's a 5 or if it's an 8. And if you spend too much time, that's just a waste. And being agile and lean is about eliminating waste and becoming productive. Overall, when you're doing Scrum, you are doing multiple touch bases. There's a little bit of energy for team members to try out new things, and people are talking more, and there's a retrospective. So, initially the results might come because if team members are communicating and talking about getting better, some of those initial results might be very apparent, but after a little bit, it might be hard for teams to improve because team can plateau.